Good morning. Today we're going to be looking at, it's Jeremy, by the way. Today we're going to be looking at all my different pressings of wild honey. I don't have them all. I'm not rich, but I do have a lot of them. And the first one we're going to talk about, let's just jump right in here, is the original US mono pressing. This one sounds okay. Now listen, if you have some original Beach Boys mono pressings from the 60s, most of them don't sound very good. And I've said it before, but you can almost always do better with a reissue. This Wild Honey mono pressing is, I think, a little bit better than a lot of the other original mono pressings. I think it's better than the Pet Sounds original mono pressing. I think it's better than Today and Summer Days, and again, I prefer the early albums, primarily in stereo. Shh. When you consider the when you consider the Sonic the Hedgehog, when you consider the sonic quality of this album, because the whole thing kind of has this garage band lo-fi intention behind it, I think the mono pressing serves it well. It sounds a little bit muffled, it sounds a little bit dirty, but that's kind of the mood of the whole album. So if you have an original US pressing and it is fairly clean, it's a pretty good version of the album, I'd say. Next up, we have the original UK mono. Beautiful cover, laminated on the front, the little flip back thing going on, as they did over there in the Great Britain of Isles. This is definitely one of my favorite pressings of this album, and I know some of you are saying, wait a second, I know that UK mono. It's a fold down. It's a fold down of fake stereo. It is a fold down of fake stereo, but we're not talking about any desyncing. We're talking about frequency separation, and I tell you, when I first listened to this mono, I couldn't believe that it was a fold down, because it sounded so much clearer, so much punchier, as we love to say, so much brighter, so much more dynamic than the US pressing, that I bought a stereo version of the UK and used a Y cable to fold it down just to see if it really was a fold down, because I couldn't believe it. It is a fold down. Now I have two of these. They sound exactly the same, but they're beautiful. And if you're a skeptic and you're thinking there is absolutely no way that fake stereo fold down sounds better than just a clean mono cut of the album, well, I dare you to go get some of these UK pressings. And if I'm wrong, then, we can disagree about it. I just love these. I got this stereo one, this one, for pennies. It's pristine. There's a little bit of a tape there, and there's a little tag there. But other than that, it is brand new, essentially. You haven't heard Wild Honey until you've heard this UK pressing. Before you start razzing me in the comments, just try it. And if you still don't like it, I understand. So next up, we have the twofer from 1974. This one has 2020 on it, as well as Wild Honey. The 2020 sounds great, one of my favorite pressings of that album. And I love these twofers. I love the Friends from the other twofer. But the Wild Honey here, it's more fake stereo, it's frequency separation. For some reason, this one does not fold down as nicely as the UK stereo does. And I don't know why. I don't know why that is. I don't know why some fake stereos fold down more neatly than others. Do you know? Do you have any insight into that? Let me know. When I did fold it down, what would happen is I was just getting way too much shrill treble and way too much overwhelming bass. And just completely washes out everything in the middle. And for that reason, I would say this is at the bottom of the bunch for me. Next up, we have the 1980 Green Label. Of course, talk a lot about green labels here on this channel. And, you know, they are some of the best that you can get. Again, for those of you who don't know, in the 1980s, they did reissues of all the albums. Earlier ones have some tracks missing, but starting at Pet Sounds, actually, no, starting at Party, they're all done in mono, and they're all done with all the tracks intact. And they all sound very good. Analog pressings from the master tapes, I think, for the most part, of what was available. And this is one of those, and it sounds great. It sounds a lot like the US pressing, the mastering that was used for that, but everything is just much clearer. The EQ is about the same, you know, where everything sits in the lows, the mids, and the highs. That all sits the same. But it's clear, you know, as people say, they love to use the blanket metaphor. It's as if a blanket has been taken off the speakers. This is one of the best pressings that you can get. You know, if Analog Productions had done their version of it, I feel like it probably would have sounded pretty similar to this one, maybe a little bit better, but it's a bummer that they didn't do this album and that they didn't do Friends. It still blows my mind. I mean, I get maybe skipping 2020. It's not the most cohesive album, although that would have been nice too. But Wild Honey and Friends, I mean, you did Smiley Smile, okay? You started the Lo-Fi trilogy, and I know people say Friends isn't lo-fi, and that's true. But, you know, some of the best albums out there. You didn't even do Brian Wilson's favorite album. Okay, so we did that. We just have one more to talk about today. It's the stereo version from 2017. And I know some of you will say, you know, can we really talk about this in the same conversation as these other analog mono pressings? Yeah, I know it's different. Personally, I really like the stereo version of this album that Mark Lynette did. Was Alan Boyd involved? Yeah, Alan Boyd was involved as well. It sounds great. In fact, I would say I had a hard time accessing this album until I heard the real stereo version of it that came out in 2017 with the Sunshine Tomorrow release. And then I kind of was able to get inside the recordings and, you know, look around and go, oh, that's cool. And then I began to really appreciate the mono version. And so I kind of worked backwards from there. But this is a solid stereo mix. Maybe a little much on the highs and lows. I think one of the problems with the way Mark Lynette does master things is we get a lot on the high end and a lot on the very low end. And in doing so, we just completely miss out on the middle. And I do feel that this pressing suffers a little bit from that. But overall, I would say this is a very, very good stereo mix of this album. And I would encourage anybody who hasn't heard it to at least go on Spotify or iTunes or Apple Music or something, listen to it. Or buy it, you know, you could do that too. And listen to it. It'll give you a greater appreciation for the album for sure. So I'm not going to really consider this in my rankings for the other pressings, but I just wanted to say, hey, check this one out. It's very good. It's not in print anymore, which is so sad. These Beach Boy reissues, you know, they come out and they're in print for a year or two and then they go away. The only thing I will say that I really don't like about this is again the color of the cover. To give you a comparison here, I mean, look at the difference there. This is just, the colors here are so much more rich. I don't know what happened with this one. Maybe just a bad scan or something. But anyways, all right. So let's talk about my personal rankings for all of these pressings. At the very bottom, pretty easy. I'm gonna say the twofer. Get that for 2020 though, because that's a good pressing of that album. Next, I would say it's gonna be the original US mono. Again, not a bad pressing, but you could do better. Next is going to be the green label. And I know this is controversial because people will say, no, this is the best. You can't do better than this. This is, what are you talking about? Well, I am going to choose the UK pressings, either the mono or fold down that stereo with a Y cable, and you will have the most dynamic version of this album that you have ever heard. The low end really punches you in the face. The high end grabs you. The album really comes alive. And you know what? The mids aren't ignored either. They're sitting there too, and they're just, you know, that warm analog sound. You're still going to get that with this pressing. Check this version out if you haven't done so. If you do, come back here. Let me know what you think. And if you really, really disagree with me, I will understand. I know by principle, a fold down for some of you, just it can't be as good as just a clean mono cut mastered by Brian. This probably doesn't represent Brian's intention, but even so, I do think this album needs a little bit of a dynamic punch to really bring it to life, and that's what this does. Do you lose out a little bit on some detail? Sure, not a ton though. And I would say that a lot of the vocals come through clearer. Anyways, a lot to debate here if you feel strongly about this, or maybe you have no feelings at all and you just kind of came to see all the different pressings I have. Do you have some pressings that I don't have? I know there's like the Simply Vinyl one that came out in 1999 or 2000. Some people like that one. That one is digital, but that's okay. I don't have the US stereo either, so maybe you really like that one. I just, you know, I love the cover of this album. I do. Probably in my top 5 favorite covers of their albums. It's just, I know it's that stained glass that Brian and Marilyn had in their house. It's got the B and the font. I mean, look at the font. Look at the font. You're not gonna... Are you looking at it? Anyways, this is a great album. One of my favorites. Go get it on vinyl if you don't have it already. You won't regret it.